Dr. Emma Collins checked her reflection in the cafe window one more time, nerves fluttering in her stomach. She'd agreed to this blind date mostly to get her sister to stop nagging her about being perpetually single, but now that she was here, she was regretting it. "His name is Michael Bennett," her sister had said. "He's successful, attractive, and my friend swears he's a great guy. Just meet him for coffee. What's the worst that could happen?" Emma was a pediatric nurse at Boston Children's Hospital, and between her demanding schedule and her natural introversion, dating hadn't been a priority. But at 32, even Emma had to admit that her life was a bit lonely. So here she was, waiting for a man she'd never met, hoping this wouldn't be a complete disaster. A man in a sharp gray suit walked through the door, and Emma's breath caught. He was handsome, striking, really, with dark hair and the kind of confident bearing that came from success. This had to be Michael, but behind him were 3 little girls, all identical, all wearing pink dresses with their blonde hair in matching styles. They couldn't have been more than 5 years old. Emma watched in confusion as the man looked around the cafe, clearly searching for someone. When his eyes landed on Emma, the only woman sitting alone, he smiled and walked over. "Emma?" he asked. "Yes, Michael? That's me." He gestured to the 3 girls, who were looking at Emma with open curiosity. "And these are my daughters, Lily, Rose, and Violet. I'm so sorry for the surprise. My babysitter canceled at the last minute, and I couldn't reschedule without your number. I hope this is okay?" Emma's mind was reeling. Her sister had definitely not mentioned that Michael had children. 3 children. Triplets. But looking at Michael's apologetic expression and the 3 little girls watching her hopefully, Emma found herself saying, "It's fine. I work with kids. I love kids, actually." Michael's relief was palpable. "Thank you. I completely understand if you want to leave. This isn't exactly a conventional first date. It's definitely not conventional, but let's see how it goes." They ordered drinks and pastries, and the girls settled at the table with surprising politeness. Emma noticed they were well-behaved, but also watched her with the intense scrutiny that children often directed at new people in their father's life. "So," Michael said once they were settled, "I should probably explain. I'm a single father. The girl's mother passed away 2 years ago. It's been just me and them since then. I don't date much because, well, this." He gestured to the girls. "Not many women want to take on a widower with triplet daughters on a first date." "I'm sorry about your wife," Emma said sincerely. "That must have been incredibly difficult." "It was. It still is. But we're managing. The girls are my priority." One of the triplets, Emma thought it might be Lily based on the tiny flower clip in her hair that distinguished her from her sisters, tugged on Emma's sleeve. "Are you going to be our new mommy?" Emma nearly choked on her coffee. Michael looked mortified. "Lily, we talked about this," Michael said gently. "Emma is Daddy's friend. We just met. But you said you were going on a date. Dates are for finding mommies." Lily looked at Emma seriously. "We need a mommy. Daddy tries, but he's not very good at hair. And he can't make pancakes right." "My pancakes are fine," Michael protested weakly. "They're lumpy," another triplet, Rose, chimed in. "And sometimes burned." "And you always forget picture day at school," the third triplet, Violet, added. "Last time we wore mismatched socks." Michael put his head in his hands. "This is going so well." Emma found herself laughing despite the awkwardness. These girls were brutally honest, and their father was clearly doing his best while juggling single parenthood with what Emma guessed was a demanding job. "What do you do for work?" Emma asked, trying to steer the conversation to safer ground. "I'm a CEO, Bennett Enterprises. We do software development and tech consulting." Of course he was a CEO. Her sister had definitely undersold this setup. That must be demanding. It is, especially with the girls. I've had to restructure my entire schedule around them. I work from home when I can, leave the office at reasonable hours, attend every school event. It's a balancing act. Emma watched Michael with the girls as they ate their pastries. He was attentive, wiping chocolate from faces, helping with napkins, listening patiently when Violet needed her milk cup opened. He was clearly devoted to these children, and they adored him despite his admitted shortcomings with hair and pancakes. "Can I ask you something?" Emma said after a while. "Sure." "Did you know this was a blind date?" Because your daughters seem to think you're actively looking for a new mother for them. Michael sighed. My friend set this up. He said I needed to start dating again, that the girls needed a mother figure, that I couldn't hide behind single parenthood forever. I agreed mostly to shut him up. But yes, the girls know I was meeting someone. They've been very invested in the process. Do you do this often? Bring them on dates? This is my first date in 2 years. The babysitter canceling was actually a disaster I almost used as an excuse to bail entirely. But then I thought about how much effort went into setting this up, and I figured I owed it to everyone involved to at least show up and explain. And now? Now I'm sitting here with a beautiful woman who works with children and hasn't run screaming despite my daughters interrogating her about becoming their mother. So I'd say it's going better than expected. Emma felt her cheeks warm. They're wonderful girls. You're clearly doing a great job with them. I'm trying, but it's hard. They need things I can't give them. Female perspective, certain kinds of emotional support, someone who understands girl things that I'm clueless about. Michael paused. I'm not looking for someone to replace their mother. I'm just looking for someone who could be part of our lives, someone who wouldn't see my daughters as a burden but as a gift. They're definitely a gift, Emma said, watching as the girls started coloring on the kids' menus the cafe had provided. Challenging, I'm sure, but also amazing. You really work with kids? I'm a pediatric nurse. I spend my days with children and their families. I love it. Then you understand. You get what it's like to care for kids who aren't always easy, who have needs and emotions and opinions. I do, though I'll admit I've never dealt with triplets before. That seems like an extra level of complexity. 3 times everything, Michael confirmed. 3 times the love, 3 times the chaos, 3 times the worry. They talked for 2 hours, long after the pastries were gone. The girls played quietly, occasionally inserting themselves into the conversation with random observations or questions for Emma. She found herself charmed by them, by Lily's seriousness, Rose's sass, and Violet's sweetness. I should probably get them home, Michael said eventually. It's almost nap time, and trust me, you don't want to see what happens when we miss nap time. Understood. Thank you for today. This was not what I expected, but really nice. Would you be willing to do this again? Michael asked. Maybe next time without the audience? Actually, Emma heard herself say, I'd love to see you again. With the audience. Your daughters are part of you. I'd like to get to know all of you. Michael's smile transformed his face. Really, really. But only if you let me teach you how to make proper pancakes. We can't have the girls suffering through lumpy pancakes. It's a deal. Over the next few months, Emma became part of Michael and his daughters' lives. She met them for weekend outings, parks, museums, the zoo. She taught Michael how to make pancakes. He got better, though he never quite mastered them. She helped with the girls' hair, much to their delight and Michael's relief. And somewhere in those months of getting to know this ready-made family, Emma fell in love. Not just with Michael, but with all of them. You're so good with them, Michael said one evening after the girls had fallen asleep following a movie night at his house. They adore you. I adore them too. They're special. Emma, I need to tell you something. Okay. When I showed up to that first date with 3 5-year-olds in tow, I expected you to bolt. Most women would have, but you stayed. You got to know them. You made them feel special. And me? Michael took her hand. You made me feel like maybe I could have both. Be a good father and also have a relationship. That I didn't have to choose. You shouldn't have to choose. Your daughters are part of you. Anyone who loves you has to love them too. Do you love us? Emma thought about her answer carefully. Yes, all 4 of you. I love your determination to be a good father. I love how the girls are growing and learning. I love being part of this family. I love you, Michael. I love you too. So do the girls. They ask me constantly when you're coming over, when you're going to be their mommy officially. Is that a proposal? Not yet, but it will be, soon. I just want to make sure you're ready. Ready for all of it. The chaos, the responsibility, the instant family. I'm ready, Emma said. I've been ready since that first date when Lily asked if I was going to be their new mommy. I didn't know it then, but I was already falling in love with all of you. 6 months after that chaotic first date, Michael proposed. Not in some grand gesture, but during a quiet moment after putting the girls to bed. "I want you to be part of this family officially," Michael said. "I want the girls to have a mother who loves them. I want a partner to share my life with. Will you marry me, Emma?" "Yes," Emma said through tears. "Absolutely yes." They told the girls the next morning. The three of them erupted in screams of joy, jumping around the kitchen and chanting, "Emma's going to be our mommy!" "We knew it," Lily declared. "We knew you were the one from the first day." "How did you know?" Emma asked, charmed by their certainty. "Because you didn't leave," Rose said matter-of-factly. "Daddy said most people would leave when they saw 3 kids. But you stayed?" "And you taught Daddy to make better pancakes," Violet added. "That means you love us." At their wedding 6 months later, the girls were flower girls, wearing matching dresses and walking down the aisle with solemn importance. Emma's maid of honor gave a toast about how Emma had agreed to a blind date expecting to meet a successful businessman and had instead found a ready-made family. "Most people would have run," her sister said. "One man is manageable. But 1 man plus 3 5-year-old triplets? That's a lot for a first date." But Emma stayed. She saw past the chaos to the love underneath. She saw a man trying his best and children who needed a mother figure. And she chose them, all of them. Michael raised his glass to Emma. "I showed up to that blind date expecting disaster. I brought my daughters because I had no choice, but also because I needed to know if someone could love all of us. Emma, you didn't just love us, you embraced us. You made us a complete family." "I wasn't looking for a ready-made family," Emma admitted in her own toast. "But when I met you and the girls, I realized that sometimes the best things come in unexpected packages. You brought your triplet daughters to a blind date and I stayed. Best decision I ever made." 2 years later, Emma and Michael added to their family, twin boys who the triplets insisted on helping name. Their family photos showed organized chaos, 5 children, 2 parents, and a lot of love. "Do you ever regret it?" Michael asked Emma one evening after all 5 children were finally asleep. "Taking on 3 instant daughters plus twins? We went from blind date to family of 7 in less than 3 years. Never," Emma said. "That blind date mix-up changed my life. I thought I was meeting a successful CEO for coffee. Instead, I met a devoted father, 3 amazing daughters, and found my family. I wouldn't change any of it, even the lumpy pancakes. Especially the lumpy pancakes. They're how I knew you needed me." When people asked how they met, Emma and Michael always told the truth, with enthusiasm from the now 8-year-old triplets interrupting constantly. "Daddy brought us on a date," Lily would announce proudly. "It was supposed to be just Daddy and Emma, but the babysitter canceled," Rose would explain. "So Daddy brought us and Emma stayed." Violet would finish triumphantly. "Most people would have left when they saw 3 kids show up," Michael would add. But Emma stayed. She saw past the chaos to what we could be. A family. "I was supposed to meet a man for coffee," Emma would say. "Instead, I met my future husband and my daughters all at once. Some people date for years before meeting their partner's children. I got the whole package on day 1. Are you glad Daddy's babysitter canceled?" The girls would always ask, wanting to hear the answer they already knew. "Best babysitter cancellation in history," Emma would confirm. "Because it meant I got to meet all of you at once. I got to see your dad as a father, not just as a date. I got to fall in love with all 4 of you together." "That's very romantic, Mommy," Lily would say with satisfaction. "It's very practical," Michael would correct. "Bringing kids on a blind date is a disaster, unless the person you meet is exactly right. Then it's perfect." "It was perfect," Emma would agree. "Chaotic and unexpected and nothing like what I'd planned. But absolutely perfect. Thank you for listening to this story. If it touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below telling us about a time when something that should have been a disaster turned into the best thing that ever happened, or about a moment when you stayed when others would have left. Your stories remind us that love often comes in packages we don't expect, that the best families aren't always traditional, and that sometimes the mix-ups and mistakes are exactly what we need. Until next time, remember that blind dates don't always go as planned. That bringing your kids might seem like a deal breaker but could be the ultimate test. and that the person who stays when things get complicated is the person worth keeping forever.